VoiceThread again, so I appreciate that. For those of you who had difficulty, it is also okay, and it still is acceptable if you want to go in and put text comments instead of the voice or the webcam comments. That's fine. I know that several of you did that already, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We're going to go over those today, so we're going to kind of review your responses to the questions and how you kind of situated your arguments in the context of those of your peers. But the first thing we're going to do is the SAT question of the day. So today it's mathematics. Everybody get out a piece of paper. Okay, so the question is, in the XY plane, line L passes through the points A0 and 0 to A, where A is greater than 1. What is the slope of line L? Okay, you guys have 60 seconds to work that one out. Go ahead and make a stab at that.
What is that? 2A minus 0 over...
Just plug in a random number, so like 2 for A. So it would be, slope would be 2. Slope would be 2.
What would be 2?
Slope.
Slope. Okay, good.
I'm trying to figure out if it's negative or positive.
We'll talk about it.
Got it.
Who's got it?
Positive. It's negative.
How many of you are still working? Hands up.
I got it.
How many of you have it? Hands up. Those of you who are in between, what's going on?
You're on 0 on Y and you're on 0 on the X. You're on this way, you're only this way. It's from 0.
Why did you say
But then you got to be in the negative one.
Okay, let's go through this together. I'll admit that this is way out of my specialty area, but let's see if we can work this one out.
Doesn't it say what one is?
Do what? Are you guys ready for the hint?
2 for A, so 2. I just plugged in random number, so it'll be 2, 0, and 0, 4.
Given 2 points on a line, the slope of the line can be found by dividing the change in the y coordinates between the points by the corresponding change in the x coordinates. Yes, change in y over change in x.
Oh, you're back. I was saying it was this way.
Are you guys done?
Yes.
Okay. Raise your hand if you think it's A. Oh, it's A. Put your hands down. Raise your hand if you think it's B. No takers. Raise your hand if you think it's C. Also no takers. Raise your hand if you think it's D. You guys are comfortable. Raise your hand if you think it's E. Wow. Okay. Several of you didn't raise your hand. Okay. Remember that participation is part of your grade. Okay. Active participation.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We'll do A. Submit. That was correct. So the reason why choice A is correct is because given 2 points on a line, the slope of the line can be found by dividing the change in the y coordinates between the points by the corresponding change in the x coordinates. Hence, since line L passes through the points A0 and 0 to A, its slope is change in y over change in x, just like Amy said, equals 2A minus 0 over 0 minus A. You go ahead and do your basic math. equals 2a over negative a. Divide those, and what you get is negative 2. Okay? All right. Does everybody understand how we got that answer? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So the essential questions, and then the unit driving question. The essential question that we're focusing on today is, what does this society of hypocrisy require to thrive? So we understand the principles of the society. We understand how the society functions. We understand what the people do in the society, but we don't understand kind of the gas that keeps the car moving, so to speak. We're still trying to figure out what makes this tick. Why are so many people willing to get on the bandwagon in the Salem witch trials of accusing other people? So that's kind of the focus for our analysis today. And in the real-world global connection that we're making is it sustainable or even plausible in today's societies? Okay? And just a reminder, the driving question for the unit is also posted up there that we've been discussing. Okay. So as I promised, we're going to go ahead and review the VoiceThread that you guys have been working on for homework. So this is going to be kind of an asynchronous. For those of you who don't know what that is, that means a discussion. This is going to serve as like an asynchronous, which means just like something that you can look at anytime you want. You come to it when it's convenient for you. You don't all have to be on at the same time. This is going to serve as an asynchronous component for you to review each of the acts of the Crucible. So we're going to do one of these for each of the acts. And then when you're done, you're going to be able to go and review these for your final. Okay? So let's just go through the first one. It's going to be difficult to hear me because the volume was very low. But we'll start out with the evaluation. And then Amy's going to blow us away. Amy's Okay, guys, let's be quiet. Just tone it down just a little bit, please. Tie on. 7:51. Do I need to move you? Okay, thank you. Pay attention.
Had to be down there.
All right.
What do you think Proctor meant when he said, is it the devil's fault that a man cannot say you good morning without you clap him for defamation?
Is it the devil's fault that a man cannot say you good morning without you clap him for defamation? So that's the quote that you were to analyze in this passage. So let me turn this down. We'll see what you came up with, because Amy's response is very loud. Daniel said, well, if we could look at it for a long time. Daniel said that Proctor meant that Giles was taking everything anybody said about him or to him personally. Proctor is implying then that Giles is being too serious and is taking everything too personally. So do you think that Proctor is kind of feeling a little bit attacked then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Proctor is a very defensive person. When he's saying this to Giles, he is just trying to defend himself and his name by saying that Giles is too old to comprehend.
So, from Amy's perspective, the reason why he's throwing this off, it seems like he is paranoid and he is defensive, but he's throwing off the accusations that are coming to him of witchcraft and, going against the Puritan ways. He's throwing those off as senility. So he's saying, Giles, you're too old. You're full of yourself. I'm taking everything you say with 3 or 4 or 5 grains of salt. I'm not sure that I can get behind that, but we'll see what the rest of you think. And there's some audio. I think this is Douglas. Douglas says, Proctor's been through a lot lately in the story, so anything that is said to him he takes personally. So you think that his reaction is a result of... there you go. So you think that his reaction is a result of circumstance, like what he's gone through. Okay. By show of hands, how many of you have ever been affected, like your mood, your approach? How many of you have ever been affected by an environmental circumstance? So things that are out of your control, just a product of your environment. So you come into work because you're upset because your cat wouldn't let you sleep last night. You know what I'm saying? Or your mom and dad made you eat your breakfast 20 minutes before you wanted to. Or they didn't give you 5 extra minutes. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So that's Douglas's perspective. Proctor is saying that Giles is taking everything personally because he's been through so much.
Mr. Frye, can you send Tyler Hempel to the office, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Tyler, you're up, buddy. Anyway, Brittany thinks the same thing. Then, who's this? I think this is Dan Avis. Said, a kind gesture is something to be suspicious of now. Okay. So Proctor's basically on paranoid watch, right? Would you say? Because of the circumstances with Abigail, okay? He's got this big affair in his back pocket, and right now it's just between the two of them, and it seems like he wants to keep it that way. Would you agree? Yeah, for now? Well, I'm not going to spoil too much for you. We'll just keep it. Proctor is saying that Giles is so quick to jump to negative conclusions that his biased judgment could persecute a man's sanity with something as simple as a greeting. Very well put, very articulate. Who was that? Austin. Good job, sir.
Thank you.
Brooke says that Proctor says this because he's worried about his reputation and how he look. Yeah. You guys are essentially getting at the heart of this, so we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide. Jenny's left a comment.
In retrospect of the lines spoken prior to Proctor's, Giles was in the midst of agreeing with Reverend Paris's theory of the devil's work at play. He attempts to justify his opinion by mentioning the high numbers in lawsuits occurring within the town, even stating he himself had 6 of them so far that year. However, before Giles could further his argument, Proctor's statement cut him off. Countering Giles' opinion, the meaning behind Proctor's words is it really the devil's fault for Giles to be so offended towards anyone's remarks towards him, even if the comment is obviously innocent of ill intent, to which he would instigate conflicts to that individual. This statement foreshadows to the readers that Giles is the one responsible for the initiations of those cases, in contrast to the previous assumption of Giles being victim to be involved in so many lawsuits.
Very good job, Jenny. Do you think it's the devil's fault?
I don't think so. I think Giles comes off as like a person who doesn't keep quiet about anything, he'll just like say whatever's on his mind. And so if he feels offended, he'll just throw a lawsuit out there and try to get money out of it.
Yeah, well, he's got 2 or 3 at any given time he can just blow out his sleeve. Yeah, and I think that this witchcraft thing is part of it. He's trying to figure out how he can take advantage of that. For sure. Good. Okay, next slide. Let's listen to me.
What role do you think that Betty and Paris play in the start of the Salem witch trials?
So the question is, what role do you think that Betty and Paris play in the start of the Salem witch trials? Daniel says that since Betty is the first one to be possessed, she is actually the spark for the trials. Without Betty becoming possessed, the conjuring in the woods by the girls would probably never even have been heard of again. Paris also starts the witch trials by telling Tituba that if she confesses, she will be forgiven. Ding, ding, ding. There's your problem. Okay? This gets at that first part of the essential question. What does it require to thrive? 4-letter word. What did he do to Tituba? What did it? Somebody said it. Fear. Hot dog, sir. You got it. That's a winner.
Betty and Paris's reactions are basically copied and pasted in every...
Sorry. Yes, fear. So, by telling Tituba that if she confesses, she'll be forgiven, fuels that mass hysteria, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what gets the villagers started blaming each other like they do. So that's one component of what it takes to make a society thrive. Do you think that institutions of government or...
Betty and Paris's...
if Amy were here... do Do you think that institutions of government in the 21st century have that ability to institute that fear, that control, that power through fear? Anybody want to comment on that?
I think they did.
Okay, tell us about it.
Well, a big example, like we've been saying all the time, the Red Scare, that the government basically said if we told us that they wanted to, because of how scared we were of what was going to happen with the TV missile occurrences. And a modern day one would almost be like 9/11.
9/11 is a good example. There's a lot of conspiracy connected to trying to put fear into that because I guess the Taliban put fear into us. So that's definitely global. But what about here at home? Anybody want to say anything on that?
Can you repeat the question?
Here at home, how does the United States government institute fear? And how do they use that, or how could it be used to control or manipulate a society? It doesn't have to be the whole American population, but it can be like in Salem, for instance. It was one pocket of people, one small village that was isolated. And I guess what would be the equivalent of the mayor now, the priest, used that to control. So what do you guys think? Is that possible? Is it sustainable? That's the second part of the question. Is it plausible and is it sustainable?
Yes.
I mean, I guess it is possible. Like, if somebody comes up to you and it's like there's a robbery going around, like, obviously it's going to make you paranoid. It's going to be like making you look at people differently. Like, whether if he's robbing other people or that girl's going around, burning down houses, like, it's going to make you look at people differently. But if you're just sitting there, like, nobody's telling you anything, you hear something on the news about somebody in a different country, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. I'm going to not really worry about that because it's so far away.
So if it's out of your zone of your immediate concern, your immediate zone of concern, then it's something that you don't really think about. So things that are going on like
Gangs or something.
Okay, yes, gangs. And I think, we'll watch this later, but there's a movie called Freedom Riders that kind of brings that home, I think, that perspective that you just hit later on about other people's struggles becoming your own. But they definitely use fear as well, so good. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next slide really quick. I'm not trying to cut any of you short, I apologize. We'll go reverse next for sake of time. Okay.
Describe John and Abby's relationship at the end of Act 1. Who is at fault?
Okay, so the question is, describe John and Abby's relationship at the end of Act 1. Who is at fault? Brittany says, John and Abby as a couple are complicated. Abby is madly in love with John and cannot stand his evil wife, Elizabeth. Woo! Bold, Brittany. Evil. John, who is at fault, still cares about Abby. But he is married and knows that being with Abby is wrong. What else makes that wrong?
She's young. She's so young.
She's what?
So young.
She's so young. Yeah, she's like 12. He's like 30-something. What else makes that
I
wrong?
thought she was at least like 15.
The fact that he's married, yeah, but we already went over that. What else makes that wrong? Yes, but what is the worst part of the whole situation? Why is he straying away from Elizabeth, or what is Abigail trying to use against him? What's wrong with Elizabeth?
She's dying.
She's dying, or she's sick. He doesn't know what's going to happen to her, but she's very sick. Okay? So Abby is trying to say, well, your old wife is going to die soon anyway. Why don't you just go ahead and come get with me, get your priorities in order. Okay? You don't need to worry about her. Sure, you can take care of her, but don't use all your time with her. Why would you invest yourself in something that's not going to be there tomorrow?
Dang, that is mean.
You find out whenever he and Abby are having that conversation. where they're going back and forth, and she says, "I knew you once," and he talks about sweating like a stallion whenever they come here. That awkward part.
That really awkward part.
Yes, that awkward part.
Mr. Frye, can you send Abby Cox to the office, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So John and Abby's relationship, Peyton says, is very complicated. Their relationship is what causes John to have a bad reputation. Why does John's reputation matter? Colin?
Yeah, Peyton, why does it matter?
Why does John's reputation matter, Dan? Volun telling you.
Isn't he kind of outspoken in the community about what's going on?
He is a dignitary in the community. A lot of people look to him for guidance. Anybody else? His reputation is at stake because he knows that if he puts himself out there and he tries to get too politically involved, he's going to get an accusation. He's already kind of gotten...
Identify one of the elements in
I keep forgetting to pause that. He's already kind of gotten an accusation from Giles Corey, but we know that he just thinks, oh, he's old, he doesn't mean anything by it, nobody's going to believe him anyway. So, where does that put him in the context of what's going on? Do you think he's going to be accused?
Yep.
You do? Do you think that society needs him to be accused to continue? What do they get out of accusing John Proctor? If he's kind of like one of the foundational members of the society, he keeps it going in the day-to-day life. Foundational member of government and political structure. What happens if John Proctor goes under? What happens if John Proctor goes under? Huh? What is it? We don't do lifelines in this class. Okay, somebody want to help Jenna out? Josh, what happens if John Proctor gets pulled under?
You will pull it on the word.
Metaphorically speaking. What happens if... Okay, let me rephrase the question. What happens if John Proctor is accused of being a witch and they do away with him? Everybody's going to freak out. Yeah, why are they going to freak out? Well, apparently, yeah. Remember that activity we did yesterday? Okay. If John Proctor is blamed to be part of this, then the whole society loses its one moral steeple left. They bring Reverend Hale in, but Reverend Hale, he comes in thinking that he's going to be fighting with the devil himself and that this is a narrow-minded town, and he doesn't have a whole lot to worry about. He's very confident in himself. He is going to find out very soon that that's not the case. John Proctor kind of has control over what's going on. Let's go to the next slide.
Identify one of the elements in this literature web, and then discuss the ways in which you see these elements played out in the story so far.
Okay, so you're supposed to take one of the elements in the web. Those of you who didn't do this yet. Take one of the elements in the web, analyze it, and find its place in the context of what we read so far. Amy's going to blow us away, so I'm going to turn it down.
Feelings have played a major role in the book so far. Fear. Everyone is afraid of what's going on. They're afraid of the witchcraft, of the devil's touch, and they're just afraid of each other. Confusion. No one really knows what happens in the woods except those that are in the woods. And they are also confused about what's happened to the girls and why they are acting the way they are. Determination. Reverend Parris is very determined to find out what happened to his daughter and what it is that caused this to happen to her, and he's willing to go to any lengths to find that out. Hostility. Everyone is extremely hostile, and no one wants to admit that they especially Abigail and Tituba, neither of them want to really admit, oh yeah, we were in the woods, we were conjuring up spirits. And they don't admit that.
Fifteen seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. It's part of the 60 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Resume. Okay. Top 5 of you get the prize.
I'm 7.
So we have Tyler, Ricky Connor, Peyton Durham, Kinsey Farley, and Daniel Drum in the top 5. Speed and correct.
I need you to get this one wrong.
Question 4. What would happen to you if you confessed to being a communist in McCarthyism? In McCarthyism.
I got it right. It's C, Josh. But it's blue. They're not black. This ain't slave. You were set free. You're not slaves. It's either one of those. You're fired. Come on now. Senators. What I tell you? You were set free. What?
Correct.
That's not right. That's not right.
This quiz. Only 4 people.
Okay. What would happen to you if you confessed to being a communist? You were set free, okay? You were let go in McCarthyism. Now this is something that actually happened. You guys remember in your web quest where the focus was here. McCarthy. If you confessed to being a communist, you were let go and relieved of your responsibilities. Does that sound familiar? Huh? The witch trials, exactly. It parallels very closely. Modern day witch hunt. All right, let's go.
I didn't get that one.
Next. Oh.
Good job.
Oh no.
You can start over?
We can start over.
No, we're just going to skip those. Don't worry about it. You're already in there. Your stuff's already set. So everybody go type in this number.
No.
I can start over.
So basically,
We're going to tell them 5854. Hurry up. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You should already be on the website. 5854.
Sam, please wait.
Just hit refresh on your browser. Type in 5854.
Please wait.
Good.
better not still be a vine. Hold up.
Let's start it.
Uh-uh.